notify to you that, did I say where I'm going yet? Oh, I got my call to Paris, France, and I'm leaving February 20th. And going to mission prep and heritage tours were the two foundations of why I felt like I wanted to go. And I really encourage all of you who are kind of on the fence deciding whether or not to go, that you should go, and I promise you will not regret it. And I know that my testimony was strengthened, and I know that it really helped prepare me for my mission. And I know that it strengthened my testimony as well. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Now, one of the reasons why we had her come is because, you know, we've had to make an adjustment. And over the years, we've had a lot of fun. People, you know, they get to us and they say, well, you know, you're just so spiritual on that trip, you don't have any fun at all. Did you have any fun?
I had so much fun.
What did you think of the bus ride, 7,000 miles?
I loved it. It was long sometimes, but you're with people and you talk and you have fun and you sing all the songs. I still keep in touch with my friends at BYU who went on heritage tours, and we hear a song, like Country Roads come up, and we're like, that's from Heritage Tours, that's the song we sing every day. We loved it. We had so much fun.
Do you want to answer a question?
Tell us about your excitement as you opened your call to Paris, France. How did you feel about that?
Let's see. So, I guess a rumor about mission calls is that the postage is $1.90. That means you're going foreign because there's more paperwork with like visas and passports. So I didn't know if that was true, and I had my packet, and my mom wouldn't even let me look at it. I wanted to hold it as soon as I got home from BYU. She wouldn't even let me look at it, but I looked at it, and we've been crying. We've been just saying call to serve, and my parents had said something, and I had said something, and I look at the postage, and it said $1.90, and I was like, I'm probably going foreign. And so I open it, and I'm shaking, and I open it, and I see Paris, France. And I didn't tell anyone. I wasn't reading it out loud. I just was searching for a country, and I screamed. I screamed right out loud, and I was like, tell us where you're going. And I read it, and I said, I'm going to the France-Paris mission. And that made me, I took 3 years of French in high school, and it just made me so excited. I actually had a friend, Natalie Cameron, for those who know her, got called to the same mission as I did, and I'm so excited. She went on Heritage Tours too, actually, 2 years ago, and I know that she would say that Heritage Tours is definitely something that helped her want to serve a mission as well. But it's all very exciting. I'm very excited to serve the people of Paris.
Lauren, thanks so much. We appreciate you. Good luck to you. Thanks for coming tonight. I'd like to take a few minutes and have a young man that went on June, Joe Cook. Come on, good Joe. We'll let you, Joe tell you where he's going on a mission. But first we have to talk to Joe about something. You know, we love Joe on the trip. He was the greatest missionary you would ever see. I tell you, we couldn't keep track of him. That's really true. We couldn't keep track of him. Joe, what was it that happened in Quincy, Illinois? Would you like to just mention very briefly what you learned about being a missionary in Quincy, Illinois?
I learned you need to tell people where you're going, otherwise I think you got kidnapped. Well, do you want to
He and his companion, we got to Quincy, Illinois to have dinner. And we give you an hour to go to dinner. And 6:30 came. Everybody was there except Joe. Who was it? Joe? Bryson. Joe and Bryson were not back. So we waited and waited. We're getting the kitty out for them to pay the kitty for being late, you know. Well, anyway, 6:30 came, 6:45 came, 7 o'clock came. No Joe and Bryson. And then one of the other district leaders said, you know, an old couple going down the street and they're waving at us. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you ever heard of the Texas song
Yeah. Chainsaw
a
murder.
massacre of 2 missionaries who got in that situation. So that's the thing that's running through my mind. That's running through my mind. And so the very first time in the history of Heritage Tours, we called 911. And so we had 2 young men missing, and that they were in a red truck. Well, anyway, everybody's frantic and they're out, they're going down the road.
People are crying.
We had prayer on the buses, we had everything else. And so
We'd given everybody's phones back in case they got to a phone and could be calling for help. I mean, we were doing everything, right?
and then finally, about an hour after we were supposed to go.
We went through a time zone change.
Yeah.
That's what.
Time to work.
This is his explanation, yes.
So we can
Went through a
time.
time change. But anyway, they come trotting down the road. Well, there was good to it. They were helping this couple that the lady was handicapped and everything else, and they were helping her get her groceries and everything else. So they went down, but they just kind of lost track of time. But let me just tell you about this young man. He probably did more missionary work on that trip in those 19, 20 days than anyone on the trip. And I love this young man for doing that. He just made me almost go gray because of that little experience. We don't need to talk about it anymore. He told us that we could use this as an example on future heritage tours. So we haven't totally made him look that way, but Joe, tell us about your experience.
Well, I'll save you guys that story of the kidnapping. How the story basically got so twisted because we were in the back of a pickup truck and we were at the stoplight and we saw some of the guys coming out of the restaurant. Well, I didn't bring enough money to eat all the time, so I had a lot of opportunities of fasting and prayer and going out trying to preach to people. So we're in the back of the car, pickup truck, because we were helping them go get their groceries, and I looked over and there were some of the guys and I said, take a picture, because I knew we were going to play Squid Mormon. These were the most golden people I found on the entire trip. And so this kid was a drama that I was talking to, and so he starts pulling out his camera, and the light turns green, and he starts speeding off, so I start screaming, take the picture. And then eventually the story got so twisted, by the time we got to Brother Elison, we were in the car holding a sign saying, take a picture, and like, so yeah, it got pretty bad. Talking to the police was kind of awkward, because he was like, you were helping people with their groceries? That was funny. So I'll just kind of go through just a brief history of how my experiences were on the tour. So I've always been looking forward to my mission with all my heart and everything else, and I was actually just called recently to the Brazil Salvador South mission. So I'll be leaving March 5th, and I'll go straight to the Sao Paulo MTC. And my whole life I've been trying to prepare for my mission, and I can honestly say Heritage Tours was the #1 most influential thing for my mission. It's once you first break over that wall of being able to talk to people, it changes the entire trip for you. I could see when it would happen to other people, but for me it happened on about the 4th day or 3rd day when they really started encouraging us to go out and talk to people and to try to place pass-along cards at Book of Mormon and everything else like that. And so what happened is we were at a truck stop, and I went off and I found this man sitting on a bench. And so I sat down and I started to talk with him, even though I get really nervous, but I try not to show it, but my inside was just killing me. Like, I don't know how I'm going to go into cardiac arrest or something. And so I was talking to him, and eventually we got on topic. He's like, oh, you're a Mormon? I was like, yeah, we're Mormon, and stuff like that. You'll get a lot of people saying that to you. But, so we were talking back and forth, and then eventually he was just talking about how dark and sad the world had gotten. And he said, I don't think there's any more hope for the world. And I felt the impression to say, well, there is hope, and then start to talk to him, but I I was too nervous, I was too scared to talk to him. And then about 10 minutes later, one of the chauffeurs came and they found me, because they had to come find me usually. And then they put me back on the bus, and then we went on to the next spot. And the very first scripture they had us read when we got back on the bus was in D&C 60, verses 2 and 3. And it says, "But with some I am not well pleased, for they will not open their mouths, but they hide their talent which I have given unto them, because of the fear of man. Woe unto such, for my anger is kindled against them. And it shall come to pass, if they are not more faithful unto me, it shall be taken away, even that which they have." So that was pretty, because I was praying the whole way back to the bus. I was like, "Heavenly Father, I'm too scared to talk to people. I need some encouragement." And then when I got on that bus, I got that tongue lashing from the scriptures. And so then after that, I said, you know what? I'm not on this tour for me. I'm on this tour for other people. I'm on this tour for a mission experience. And so from then on, I promised myself that I would go out and I would try everything I could, even if I made a difference in one person's life, it would be all worth it. About 2 days later, we stopped at a laundromat, ironically enough. It's a miracle laundromat. And so we went to the laundromat, and all my guy roommates and everything, they went off to go eat, but I didn't have money to go eat. So they went off to eat, and I had to stay and watch the laundry to make sure no one took it. And pretty soon there was a man who came and he sat on the bench out front. And me and one of my good friends, Jansen Hall, decided that we would go try to talk to him. And so we went out front and we started talking to him. And as we proceeded to talk to him, we started to question, we got to the topic of religion. And well, actually what happened first is, so I was like, we came on the Western Migration Trail. It works really good. So they say a religious tour, say Western Migration Trail, because it goes off the Oregon Trail and stuff, because if you just jump into it too fast, sometimes people just, get scared. And so what happened is I was saying, we came along this route and everything else, and then Jansen next to me says, "We're Mormons, we're on a religious tour." And I was like, "Jansen, we too." And I just say that like as the first sentence. And, but I didn't say anything, I was just like, "Oh." And so we kept talking to him, and then he said like 2 or 3 comments more like that, like, "What are you doing? Like, you're going too fast for him." And then eventually we started getting into the topic of religion, and he started asking us about the Book of Mormon, and he said, "So you guys don't believe in the Bible, you guys have your Book of Mormon." And I was like, "No, we have the Bible." And so I took the opportunity to pull out my quad, and I pulled out my quad, and then so I was like, "See," and I've never prayed so hard in my life. I was like, "Heavenly Father, please let this correlate with something in the Bible." And I just opened the Book of Mormon, and the day before I had marked some scriptures on the Sermon on the Mount, and so they actually correlated, which that normally doesn't happen when you pray, just open the scriptures. I learned later it doesn't happen like that. But so I read it to him, and he said, "Oh, those are some of my favorite scriptures." And then Jansen knew some scriptures to the New Testament, and so while he was going back and forth, I flipped to Moroni 7, how it talks about faith and how you exercise faith and all this other stuff. And so we started reading to him a little bit from the Book of Mormon, and at first I tried to get him to take it so he could see me read it. He wouldn't take it. And after about two readings back and forth, then he took it and he started leafing through the pages and he started to read it. And we continued to talk to him. And actually, I've been taking mission prep for a few years, and so I know how to teach the first lesson. And Jansen does as well. So we jumped into the first lesson and we talked about the restoration. And we went through and we told the first vision. And the first vision will have such an impact on people when you tell it to them. And I strongly encourage you guys, when you're out there, to recount the first vision to people.